Testing, 1, 2. This week's episode of the Macchia Show is brought to you by Strauss Whole Milk. Drink that shit and beef up, motherfuckers. Welcome to the inaugural, easy for me to say, episode 1 of the Macchia Show. Long overdue for me. You probably won't watch, and that's okay. This will just be for me to vent. Hey, just want to introduce myself. My name is Guy Macchia. I am 33 years old, currently living in good old Marina del Rey, Los Angeles, California. Originally from Syosset, New York. I'm a half Jew, half Italian pizza bagel. As I had a friend tell me one time, if I can't beat you in the streets, I'll probably beat you in the pockets. Ayo, shout out to my Jewish brethren. I am a very diverse, kind of weird, eclectic individual. People might not see that based on my appearance, but I am obsessed with biomechanics, human movement, and that's what I would like to talk about on my inaugural episode, the importance of posture. And now, I don't think y'all really get it. I don't think you really understand how important this is for your overall health and how off your shit might be. I sure didn't know how off my shit was, but my shit was off, as I've learned the hard way from a 10-year deep dive into rehabilitating my body and reteaching it how to move and optimize itself. But I'll take it from the top and talk about the first reason why posture is super important, which is, if you think about it, every single cell in your body has an optimal posture, right? There are cells, they have cell membranes, they have various fibers running through to support the cell. There's all these different apparatuses in there running myriad different functions that this show is not going to cover. But the importance is, we want cells that are elastic and hydrated and springy and permit fluids to pass through and go in and go out. And that's going to make the cells most metabolic, most healthy, maximize calorie intake and use, and ultimately not leave any cells without jobs that are going to eventually die off because your body's efficient, right? So that's going to help us live a long time, right? And it's also, from a superficial perspective, which is I know what a lot of people care about, going to help you burn calories, right? If your body is working harder or efficiently, it's going to take the energy that you are taking in via food, and it's going to optimize it. And so you're going to burn more calories, right? That's what we all want to do. We want to burn more calories. Second reason why posture is super important from a... What is that noise? I don't know. Fuck it. We got to run it. Second reason why posture is important from a superficial lens is because you can't outrun a bad diet, but you can outlift it. Now, you can't outlift it directly if you have shitty range of motion. You maybe can if you have steroids, but don't do that. But if you have good form, right? You know what good form looks like. You've seen it in the gym. If joints can express full range of motion, and now you use weight to lift in a functional capacity, you are always going to be slapping down new muscle in places where your body most needs it, which is close to your midline, your gut, your lower abs, right? And these are extremely large muscles and muscle groups. They're going to help your body move more efficiently, but more importantly for your aesthetic, they're going to make you more metabolic as well, right? We're going to turn on these muscles. We're going to recruit new muscle fibers. We're going to grow muscles in 3 dimensions, not just in one, and that's going to create the need for more energy, right? So at a baseline, our basal metabolic rate, the amount of calories we burn if we just got out of bed, is going to increase. So we're going to need to eat more to meet our calorie demands. And not to mention, instead of trying to burn off all the things you're eating, you're just going to slap it down as nice new muscle, right? Which looks good. And it's also muscle. It's great. We want it. It's going to help us age. It's killing many birds with one stone. It's fantastic. It's what you want to do. And I'm sure I will have lessons or episodes in the future that will explain more about what I'm talking about on that topic. But just know, stop trying to run or jog bad meals away. That's not going to work. Let's start to be a little more efficient with our time, and let's try to pack on some nice lean muscle. That's going to serve us well. The last and arguably most important aspect of posture, which I do not think gets discussed enough, is the confidence aspect that comes from having good posture. Now, I don't know about you, but I see a tall girl walking down the street with her shoulders back and her chest out, and I'm shook, okay? I'm not approaching that girl. She is tugging on some sort of primal heartstring saying, hey, come get this. And I'm out there saying, no, okay? I can't handle that shit, right? And maybe that's, more of a reflection on me than her. Maybe that's something I'm still working through in my own posture, but you get what I'm saying. When you see somebody who's standing up straight, projecting, right? Saying, hey, this is my important shit, come get me. You won't. There is a primal aspect of your being that creates a dopamine response to that. Being an alpha, being at the top of the food chain. Conversely, we live in this desk-ridden, desk-creatured posture life, where our shoulders are rounding forward, not because we want them to, but because of the way that we're constantly challenging them against gravity. And that forward pull of our shoulders and rounding of our shoulders has a profound impact on our happiness beyond what we understand presently. But what we do understand is that when we do exude a forward shouldered rounded posture, it mimics in our head, our primal makeup, the threat of a predator. The threat of a predator coming and attacking our valuable area, our valuable space, right? Our heart, our gut, our neck, our face, all our valuable things that we want to protect. We now are telling our body to enter fight or flight mode. There's a threat, right? And we do this long enough, and we are going to wreak havoc on our body. We're going to increase our cortisol, right? We're going to increase our baseline stress. We're going to start storing food that's coming into our body as fat. We're going to start storing random things just like that shouldn't be stored as fat. We're going to get more muscle fat, more fat, not more muscle belly, in our belly. We're going to get more fat in our belly, and that's going to cause more rounded shoulder posture to protect ourselves in a perpetual loop of disconfidence. And we don't want that, right? We want to stand up straight and project this air of confidence. It's something that I see as I'm navigating the world and getting older. I'm 33 years old now, and I did it for years, where you kind of are just hiding subconsciously. You don't realize it, you don't want to be, but you don't want people to see your shit. And you can overcompensate with substances, you can do whatever you want, but there's this hiding that we can't escape and that we need to escape. And I'm going to hopefully tie this all together with the craziest thing I'm going to tell you so far today, which is how I discovered that my posture was dog shit. I obviously knew it was shit based on people telling me that. It actually all started as a chubby child. I used to pull off or exhibit a move I called man boob subterfuge. Now, man boob subterfuge, if you're not familiar, if you've never seen chubby kids, they'll round their shoulders forward in an effort to have shirts not directly make contact with their titties. And I wish somebody had told me this from the jump. Yo, gee, we can still see your titties, brother. You're just fucking up your posture. That would have saved me a lot of agita down the road. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, so I developed this bad posture. And now I somehow overcome this, and I developed this aesthetic body that I had been taught to want, right, at around age 22, 23, 24. I had a six-pack, but I was waking up with chronic lower back pain, chronic neck pain, right? I forecast 50 years down the road, and I was like, I can't do this. I ain't living in chronic pain for the next 50 years. So lo and behold, the universe has a way of kind of forcing you to do what it wants you to do. I had herniated a couple discs in my back, deadlifting not that much weight, and that necessitated that I try some things. And one of those things was hot yoga. And now I hated hot yoga. Hated it. I took 4 classes, 90-minute Bikram, and I wanted to actually murder myself. Shout out, that's not entirely true. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but you get the point. It was shit. And on the 5th class, I did some deductive reasoning beforehand. I said, you know what? I like smoking weed. I've smoked weed and it's made things that I don't like better. Maybe I'll smoke weed before this 5th hot yoga class and it'll make hot yoga better. So that's what I did. I smoked a little pen, took a little toke of the Benjamin back in the day before that was that cool. And I proceeded to have the most life-changing experience I've ever had. That 90-minute hot yoga class elapsed in what felt like maybe 5 minutes. And it wasn't just the fact that I was better at yoga. I wasn't. My body was still defunct. I still couldn't do the shit. It still was torturous. But I was able to breathe. I didn't think about the torture. I was focused on the breath. And I just took one breath at a time. And before I knew it, class was over. Didn't think about the pain. Didn't think about the struggle, right? Was just focused on piecing one breath at a time, one after the next. And at the end of a yoga class, if you've never taken one before, there's a final pose called Shavasana, dead man's pose, where you get to just lay on your back and let the hour and a half of work kind of just take you over. And this hour and a half of work took me over all right. It took me over to the Serengeti River because I hallucinated that I was a crocodile. Right? I closed my eyes during Shavasana and I had a green snout. And I was navigating the water, some water I like to think was the Serengeti. And I get to a watering hole and I see a gazelle in the distance, probably like 60 yards away. And it's got its nose in the water, getting some refreshment, and I resubmerge. Next thing I know, I'm at the water's edge, looking up at the gazelle through a layer of translucent cover. And the next thing I know, I'm exploding upwards, bubbles occur, and the instructor speaks, and I'm woken up out of my dream. And nothing was the same, in case you were curious about that. And that's a true story. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. It's a true story. And it took me years to deconstruct that dream. But what I learned from that dream is if you see something, you own it, right? That's the hallmark of the crocodile. That's why the crocodile is the most resilient animal on the planet. They've been around for 225 million years. They see an opportunity and they strike. They may miss, but they make the attempt and they store the feedback and they never make the same mistake twice. They learn, they're aware. They store the feedback for next time so that they guarantee that they don't make that mistake again. And that's how they continue to survive. Contrarily, gazelles, they miss the subtle cues that are keeping them alive. They sense when they get to the watering hole, danger is afoot, right? In the form of toxic relationships, bad habits, bad relationships, I said that already. Bad habits, I said that already. Whatever have you, right? Everything is toxic, can't get away from it. Sense danger, but always go back to the watering hole for another sip. And that's when they get eaten. Not by other human crocodiles, but by the jaws of life. Right? And that's what I was facing. Right? Because despite my aesthetic body, my body was breaking down. And I kept doing shit that I had been told to do instead of seeking the solutions for myself. And what I learned on the day that I became a crocodile is that I was an aerobic organism that sucks at breathing. Now, in case you didn't follow that, that makes me a legitimate human walking oxymoron, right? Aerobic meaning I need oxygen and I'm not good at breathing, right? That's a recipe for death, actually. And so I knew deep down subconsciously, oh, that chair's gonna break. I knew deep down subconsciously that if I didn't do something about it, I was in trouble. And so I go on this journey to break my body down, right? Because my breath was poor, because my posture was poor, right? My ribs did not expand to allow my lungs to expand. So I start doing all this work to break down this muscle. I drop from at my heaviest 225 down to my lightest 160 pounds. Right now my body's working better, but now I know I need to put on a little bit of muscle. So for the past 5.5 years, I put on 60 pounds. I'm now 220 pounds again. Now, if you're bad at math like I am, I think that's 125 pound up and down total differential in 10 years. I think that's pretty significant. And now I breathe well. which is awesome. I feel my rib cage expand. I feel my ability to take in more air. I feel more confident. I actually feel my muscles and organs more spaced and more able to absorb. And this makes me a more metabolic creature, right? And so I burn more calories. I look better. I have more muscle. It's in the right places. I stand up straighter. I'm more confident. And so I'm telling you that every single aspect of my life has improved since that discovery on my yoga mat that day. Now, I'm not going to tell you it was easy. It was not. I have been aided by the psychosomatic benefits of marijuana, both ingested and inhaled, at a moderate pace to allow for my pain threshold to drop low enough for me to get into positions to mobilize things, to learn and continue to grow. And it's been a very tumultuous journey, but a worthwhile one. And for all those reasons, I 10 out of 10 recommend you become aware of your body and space and start training your posture. Train your body to decompress itself. Train your spine to be nice and long and to do myriad function, the functionality that it was designed with. And I can only tell you that these things are true because I did them. So, people don't want to listen to the things that I have to say, and that's totally cool. I get it. I say some cockamamie ass shit. But this is one thing that's true. I worked on my posture. I became a better breather. My chronic pain went away. And over 10 years, I've become bigger, faster, stronger, more mobile than I've ever been at any point prior in my life. So take my words for what you want. Be a crocodile. Don't be a gazelle. And stay tuned for more fun with me in the future. Have a nice day.